Hello, and welcome to the beginning of the Skyrim playthrough. This Skyrim playthrough is going to be very heavily modded, with everything from Legacy of the Dragonborn to a bunch of other mods I have, along with playing with 3 companion mods, at least for the beginning. Without any further ado, let's get into the gameplay. Every time it's going to be like 18 errors when you start up with very heavily modded, and there is definitely not a shortage of mods in my playthrough. I don't really have any of mods of this type enabled. I usually play on Bosmer. And I'll cut back after I finish creating my character. I think this is overall I'm going to be going with. I saw some of the presets, found something I liked. Got some war paint around the eyes, got some scarring on the face, shows that she may have been through a little bit of stuff. And dark hair. So now we have to name her. Valyria Ebonsong. So, as you can see, I have started another life. Mostly because I do a very specific intro with this mod list. Everything's updating and loading, but what it is itself isn't easy.
Approach, my child, and choose where your new life shall begin.
So, the start that I go with is I am the Guildmaster for the Explorer Society. The main goal for this playthrough will be to try to get the Museum of the Dragonborn as complete as possible. And it's going to take a while, and it may not all be on video, but we'll see in time how it goes. At the top left, you can see a lot of the mods that are enabling, and I'll go through the MCM once I get a moment of downtime to make sure everything's running correctly. Without any further ado, though, I am the Guildmaster for the Explorer Society.
An entire world of lost mysteries lies before you to explore, Guildmaster. Be cautious.
And then, if you have to play this mod before, you know what you need to do. Just sleep. Starting at level 1 and a brand new playthrough is always kind of scary. That's because you're probably used to like being endgame, but we'll see how this goes.
Ah, good. You're finally
No survival
big
mode.
Guildmaster.
I'm probably gonna be playing this on mostly master difficulty, so maybe a time. And it's gonna have to be from a religious. I am a Bosmer. I'm gonna follow the elven deity Jeffrey. So what this mod is Winter Sun, and basically allows you to become religious and essentially dedicate yourself to a deity. As you can see here, the tenets is what your deity wants you to do, and the follow ability is something you just get passively. Once you get above 100 devotion, you actually get a permanent ability with that deity. So, the tenets of Jeffrey is explore new locations, read the stories of others, hunt animals, and wood elves are most deserving of my favor. Most deities in Tamriel have a preferred race that they prefer. So you might have Ariel for the High Elves, or Jeffrey here for the Wood Elves with Bosmer. Most deities have a preferred, like, you might be surprised to hear that Talos is most preferential towards the Nords, of which he is one. But here we're going to follow Jeffrey. So here we have the dynamic conversation camera in use. So he just said, "Hey, you're awake," and I ask, "What time is it?"
Oh, must be going on 9 in the morning now. After the incident yesterday evening, we figured we'd just let you sleep in.
Incident?
My, you must have hit your head proper. The main chamber caved in yesterday. Nobody was seriously hurt, but you and a couple others took some pretty nice knocks on the head, and it set us back a bit.
Well, we best get back to it. Half the day is gone.
Oh, worry not. We kept at it and managed to salvage the passage access, but there are lots of odd sounds of things moving about inside. Could be trouble, so we figured we'd wait for you to come around. You should certainly stop at the expedition supply tent and arm yourself before you go. No telling what could be down there. Oh, and we collected your tools after the accident. They are sitting on the table out here. Grab them, gear up, and have a look in the ruins. Argonel is waiting for you inside.
Thank you, Carl. So, as you can see here, you saw some basic, like, miner clothes. However, the knapsack here will show us a lot of the stuff that we have. So, nothing in here is going to be really noteworthy. What? Let's get the grab just in case. What we want to do is come up here. And here's all the equipment that we can have. Iron dagger, some arrows, a bunch of potions, a lockpick satchel which has 20 lockpicks, a pickaxe, the Steinder's sextant. The sextant can help me locate relics in ruins and excavations. Now if only I can remember how to use it. Steinder's sextant can be used from your inventory to locate the nearest relic of interest. Alvaro's tools. Fine excavation tools meant for uncovering fine details. If I remember correctly, these can be used to find artifact keystones from normal fragments, but sometimes it just destroys the fragment. I don't think I'm quite proficient enough with it to use them just yet. Alvaro's tools can be used from the inventory to prospect fragments to try to find more keystones. It exchanges 2 fragments for a keystone if successful, or costs 1 fragment if it fails. Rate of success is based on your archaeology skill level. The Dwemer compass. Now that looks complicated. Some Dwemer device of some kind. Oh right, it's a compass. I think I can mark travel points and then easily travel back to them using it, and figure out how to set the headings, that is. So the Dwemer compass actually didn't explain how to use that one, but basically you kind of set like checkpoints or waypoints that you can automatically fast travel back to from anywhere in the world with no time used. Well, that is kind of strong. It's not necessarily overpowered, but I don't use it too much usually. Diano's bottomless pack. As you can see here, one of my UIs, I believe it's more HUD, it shows like tooltip for it. Increase your carry rate by 200 times you find lost things in its depths. Nice sturdy pack for hauling gear. Oh wait, this pack is special. I seem to remember always finding unexpected things in it each day. Sometimes useful, sometimes junk I end up leaving behind. And then here's the chest. And here basically you get to pick between do you want light armor or heavy armor. I usually play light armor based classes. But it's not a bad idea to take that too. And as he said, next thing to do would be going inside. Though, was there a bow in there? To my left, yes. So, hunting bow, iron sword, iron warhammer. So here, it gives you the option to pick, do you want a 2-hander, a 1-hander, or a bow and arrow. So personally, I'm going to pick the hunting bow for now. And there's archery gameplay overhaul coming in. And then I'm going to come over here, gameplay, and set it to master difficulty. And now it's wanting me to go inside, which we can of course do. And here we go, into the Akaviri Outpost Antechamber.
Ah, wonderful.
And there's
You're
Argonel.
back. We've just managed to clear the rubble of yesterday's cave-in and managed to break the seal on the opposite door as well. Sounds like there's something moving around down there, so I thought it best that we wait for your return. I'm right behind you, Guildmaster.
Thank you, Argonel. So, you can see this is a location added by Legacy of the Dragonborn. Another submod is one that actually gave me the start, which is which I can use as submod as you saw from Star Another Life, or Live Another Life rather. The place is really pretty, but of course, what we need to do is go below. As you can see, or already noticed, bunch of skeletons. Still one down here? There is. Alright, that should be everything then. Now of course you can loot all of them. Like, I have an upgrade to a bow. To the ancient Nord bow.
Oh, confound it. Looks like this door is sealed as well. It doesn't have a lock and the doors aren't fused like the others. Oh, looks like there must be some mechanism nearby that opens it. Have a look around and I'll watch the door.
As you can see, he tells you what to do. So, pretty much just take everything in here. As I accidentally sit down at the table while trying to loot Goblin. Ancient shield. And then here is a good opportunity to lockpick. Nice 62 septum reward. Bunch of skulls. And what's this? A hand? Make sure to keep Loot Goblin around. And now to mention something you may have seen. So if we hover over, let's say, oh, it's not working in the inventory. Interesting. So if it's on the ground, you can see the little plus sign next to the Warhammer. That means I don't have it collected in my museum yet. So, something to keep in mind. Ancient Akaviri armor, that weighs 59 pounds. Yeesh. Might come back here later. At the beginning of the game is always close on money, so. And then here, sell and enter the next room, the Inner Sanctum. And as you get here, there's another relic. But this looks like something from like Indiana Jones. Should probably be careful. Ouch. Should definitely heal. And here, favorite stuff. Search the skeleton, get the garnet. Over here, get the septums, and then the relic. It's definitely not a trap. Don't know how that first one didn't hit, but the second one did. And we were actually trapped inside. And here, that was 291 gold. Really shaped ash pile with ectoplasm. Use that for alchemy. And make your end of dungeon chest ward. Interesting. It's not a bad ring. It sells pretty good. And that's all.
Well, that does it, I suppose. And look, the passage opened back up. Well, after all of that, I'm headed back to camp for a bottle of mead and a lie down. See you back at the guild house, Guildmaster.
And now it wants me to show the relic to Carl. That's the guy who talked to us when we first woke up. So here we are heading back outside. Beautiful Skyrim. Hello, Carl. We found something.
Oh, would you look at that? I haven't seen anything quite like that before. I'm sure it will fetch quite a nice price from a buyer. Oh, but come to think of it, Aryan might have interest in it.
Aryan? Who's Aryan?
Oh, the vines. You really need to see a healer about that head of yours. Aryan is the creator of the Museum in Solitude, the same building that the guild is attached to. Well, at any rate, he said he had a proposal to pose to you, so you might see if he's interested in the relic as well.
He sounds really tired with my shit. Okay, I'll check it out after we finish here.
You go on ahead and we'll finish up the excavation here and pack up in a few days. Then we'll be heading over to Orsinian like we had planned. So, good luck to you, Guildmaster. I trust we'll likely not see one another for some time, but I'll send word if we find anything interesting there. And if you'd like a ride over to Whiterun Stables where you can catch a carriage back to Solitude, Farlan is heading that way and could take you.
Thank you, Carl. Oh, guess that's all. Now where's that carriage? Carriage is this way. So, well, I forget to where the carriage is. We can hear a Nernroot over here with a swallowtail on it. And we can see here the excavation site. So these are used in, like I say, the Dragonborn to try to get, like, excavate ancient artifacts to give back to the museum. As you can see here, they'll yield fragments and occasionally keystones, which can be used to create artifacts. A lot of dungeons have these towards the end. And here you see here. You have earned an Archaeology's perk point. You earn perk points for every 5 skill points in Archaeology, and you gain by digging excavation sites or creating artifacts at an Archaeology station. These perk points can be spent to purchase useful bonuses. The abilities pertaining to Archaeology by... Pardon me? Abilities pertaining to Archaeology by either using the MCM menu or utilizing the perk tree manager found in the Explorer Society Guildhouse. However, that put us over cap. So overweight again. No, probably just like drinking alcohol or something. Or take some of our ingredients. Like bone meal, yummy, ectoplasm, the Nernroot, lavender, and the swallowtail. But as you can see, we're still overweight. Guess I'll drop the empty wine bottle. And we are slightly inhibited. That's alright. Here's the carriage. Hey, Farlan.
Heading out soon, Guildmaster.
I hear you might be able to help me get to Solitude.
Oh yes, I'm heading over to Whiterun to get more supplies for the journey to Orsinium. If you'd like to tag along, you're welcome to. You could certainly catch a carriage there to take you to Solitude.
Sounds good to me.
Very well. Let's get underway then.
So, while we ride here, and as we catch a carriage at Solitude, I'll talk briefly about the companions we'll be using in this playthrough. The companion mods I'm using are pretty well fleshed out, possibly among the most. And none of them are really unpopular or anything.
Need a horse? Talk to my father, Skolvar. Need a ride?
So, the first of which is going to be Inigo, the Khajiit,
Where
which
do
is
you want to
possibly
go?
the most popular single.
Going straight through, or did you want
The most popular single follower. Apologies, I had to remember what the whole Solitude's in. So Inigo, who is going to be kind of like my warrior type, he's going to be my front line. Me, I'm usually going to be like more of a support, maybe caster, maybe using a bow like an archer, what have you. Then we're also going to have Ari, who is an archer, and another Bosmer who we can find in Falkreath Hold. We can find Indigo and Riften in the jail cell. And we'll figure out his story when we get to it. Finally, we'll be losing Lucian, who is a mage. So this is another thing from the mod list I have. It is dark when it's nighttime. Very dark. And so we will have to be using stuff like torches or lanterns. Luckily, getting into Solitude itself is not difficult from the carriage location. We'll be visiting the museum and getting acquainted with Arvin and everything there. And then we'll probably collect our companions before we do anything else. While it is complicated to collect everything for the museum, because the museum actually requires essentially one of every unique item in Skyrim, plus a bunch of other mods I have enabled. It's going to take a while. So it's going to be more of a marathon than a sprint. Back there, if you somehow have never played Skyrim before, a man is being executed for opening the gate when Jarl Ulfric, who is a claimant to the Kingdom of Skyrim, actually challenged the High King of Skyrim, Torrig, to a one-on-one combat. However, he used something called the Thum, or essentially a magic from your voice, to kill him. And the man who's being executed, well, he opened the gate and let Ulfric run out, saying it was a fair fight. And here we are, to the Dragonborn Gallery. So I'm going to be definitely loot goblining a lot of these ingredients and such as I can see them. Death bells hover very nicely in the night, so we can see them pretty easily. You can see I overcut myself again. I'll drop on the shields. And here we are into the Dragonborn Gallery.
Ah, good day to you, Guildmaster. I trust you are faring well. How goes the excavation?
See, that's actually his dialogue there is actually completely different than if you're doing a campaign with a start other than what I have. There's two alternative starts, which has you as already the curator in the museum, in which Arvin already knows you, or rather, he specifically requested you to essentially be the retriever. And you arrive at the docks, you run up and do all the things. The star I have has me as the guildmaster of the guild next door. So he recognizes that, which is a nice bit of continuity. Just a little accident that set us back.
Oh dear, I'm sorry to hear that. I trust nobody was seriously hurt.
Just a few bumps and bruises.
That's good to hear. Did Carl inform you I wanted to speak with you?
Yes. He said you had a proposal or something?
Well, it's a bit of a proposal and a request. We've been cordial neighbors for some time now, the explorers and the museum, that is. And I began to think that it is rather silly that we aren't working more closely with one another. Then Carl told me of the availability of the chief librarian position in your guild, and I thought that I might offer my expertise in that role. In exchange, I was hoping that you and your explorers might be willing to undertake some exploration and excavation of a variety of artifacts, funded by the museum, of course. I have just completed the majority of the renovations to the building and would be ready to open officially if I could find some reliable treasure hunters or mercenaries. I think that you and your people would be eminently qualified. So I was thinking that I become Chief Librarian for the Explorer Society, and you become the Relic Hunter for the museum.
So, you buy any and all artifacts we find?
Well, I was thinking more that I would simply safeguard and showcase the things you found, offer you funding and occasional finder's fees, and that way you can access any of the collection you provide at your discretion.
Sounds like a good arrangement.
Excellent. Well, let me give you the 10 Septim tour then.
This building was once called Magnarian Hall and was built as a temple dedicated to Talos, the patron god of the Nords. After the White Gold concorded, however, the statue was moved and the temple closed. I came here a few years ago and was able to procure use of the space in the pursuit of establishing this museum. Of course, I have had the building vastly expanded over the last 2 years to accommodate what I hope will become one of the grandest collections of Tamrielic history in the world. This grand atrium I call the Hall of Heroes. It is where a variety of historically significant relics can be displayed, and is quite a striking entrance to the museum, if I do say so myself. Off to the right is the reception hall and staff barracks, as well as the museum office where I do much of my work. To our left, you'll find the central hallway leading to all the other galleries of the museum, which also serves as the cultural arts exhibit. Here, I hope to display a variety of art, as well as elements representing the more primitive cultures here in Skyrim, such as the Falmer, Forsworn, the Giants, and more. Down here on the lower level, you will find access to the East Exhibit Halls, which houses the Daedric Gallery, the Hall of Lost Empires, Hall of Oddities, and the Hall of Legends, which showcase a vast array of relics pertaining to the Daedra, Dwemer, Falmer, and ancient Nordic cultures, as well as a number of peculiar items that defy simple classification. At the close end of this hall, the stairwell will lead to the armories in the basement and up to the second floor. There you will find access to the Natural Science Gallery, as well as the Dragonborn Hall, where I will commission a variety of displays heralding any of your accomplishments. At the far end of the hallway on both floors, you'll find access to the Grand Library, and here on this floor, the door on the right also connects to the museum office. If you cannot find me in my office, you will almost certainly find me whiling away the hours in the library. Also, you should pick up a copy of the museum guide at the entrance of the museum. It will let you know the schedule of where I'm working, should you need to find me, and it will offer you an easier way of navigating the museum, as well as keep track of how many displays our museum has. Of course, it may take me a moment to update those accounts, so check the guide again if you feel the numbers seem off. I'm sure I'll eventually account for everything. Any items you find for display, you can either manually place them yourself, or utilize the prep station in my office, and I'll ensure everything you have gets properly displayed if it has an appropriate place. I'm likely to have a variety of tasks for you, but in between, I'm sure you could help me find a random relic or two I've been researching. Feel free to look around and come find me if you have any questions. I'm very excited about the prospects of where we are headed. Oh, almost forgot. There is a safe house upstairs with all the amenities you could ever want. I don't utilize it much, so you can feel free to. And lastly, I have a few leads for you to get started. First is an artifact I heard is for sale by a general merchant in Helgen named Borgoth. He said he would hold the item for me for a while. So it may be best to retrieve it first. The others, well, the notes will tell you all you need to know about them.
And that's our introduction. So as he said, there's a lot of things here. And eventually, this whole thing, hopefully by the end of our playthrough, everything will be filled up. I'll give it a little tour myself once I deposit some stuff. So, as he said, there's a couple ways of going at this. You see, this display is all over the place for all kinds of relics you can think of. Here you like the Saurthal rings, the enchanted amulet, the Goldear amulet, Azadal stuff from Dragonborn. You can see all kinds of things, and some of these things you might not even know exist. And the majority of these are actually vanilla. At least in this hall, the upstairs hall, and about half of the other big exhibits. The lighting in here is not the best, but it's also about 1 AM, so it kind of checks out. Eventually we'll have to do all the guilds, the entire main storyline, the Civil War, and just a plethora of other quest lines. There is a lot of content to do here, and this essentially is kind of a way of looking at Skyrim like a platinum trophy, if you used to like PlayStation terms, or just 100% of Skyrim. I've put a lot of hours into Skyrim. It's a really fun game, especially once you get creative with mods. But there's no way of telling how do you finish it. So, I'm going to head to the safe house. I'm going to rest 7 hours, or let's just make it 8 for the XP bonus. Try to make it daytime, and we'll see if it's lit up a little bit better. I'll give a brief tour of the safe house as well, if you are going to play this mod. Let's Probably one of my favorites in Skyrim, period. As you can see here, it's really, really dark. But luckily, there's these chandeliers you can turn on. And I'll give a brief tour after turning them all on. And I walk back out. Because I am a smart lad. It would seem I am incapable of finding the one in this room. And then the room over here will be empty for now. As will the room down here, down the hall. Will be also empty, just for now though. In time, it'll be lit up. So, let me get to sleep. It'll be about 10 a.m. when I wake up, which is a perfect time to give a tour of my own of the facilities. You can see here, it's a lot brighter outside. And it looks like I am not dumb, there's not a chandelier in here. Seems like a little bit of an oversight. Oh well. You see these glowy things? I have a mod that shows me if I've not read a book. So, brief tour. In here is basically your armory, where all your shields, weapons, armor, and all that goes. Here you have the sell pile, which eventually Arvin will be able to sell stuff for you. You won't be getting 100% of the price, but also I'd say you have kind of like a convenience fee for not having to go out and sell everything. Especially once you get late game on making things in bulk. Here you have your liquor cabinet, scrolls, journals, notes, key holder. There's all kinds of things. Do you even come in here? The mannequin bug is alive and well, as we can see. If you don't know, Skyrim mannequins are actually NPCs. However, they're basically they're meant to be like completely frozen, period, never moving. However, it's Skyrim, so yeah. It's really creepy when they're alive, which can happen sometimes as well. You can see here we have both male and female mannequins. Here you have a staff enchanter, your alchemy lab, a soul gem transmogrifier, which is not vanilla, it's kind of powerful. A disenchanting font, arcane enchanter, soul extractor. Here you have a smeltery, your blacksmith forge, grindstone, workbench, building materials, ingots and ore supply, tanning rack, leather. If you can think about it, it basically exists in this home. And while some people might see that as overpowered, I just see it as fun. I don't have to have like a play home for everything. This is all I need. And we'll make some upgrades sooner or later. Because as I said, that chandelier is nice to have on. This room right here, later on, we will find a use for it. As will we for this room over here. Both of these can actually be essentially given a designation. However, the designation is expensive. And we don't have much gold as of yet. The other side is when we collect things, a lot of time I'm going to want to put a copy of it into the museum. So that's actually going to cut into our early earnings a lot. I can see it's a little bit brighter in here, now that it's daytime. So, as Arvin said, here is the barracks. This is basically where your staff is located at. Once you get your staff members, you have like this little greeting way. and more displays of a bunch of like unique things. These are usually like more of your archaeology stuff in here. This is the entrance to the Explore Society, which I'll go into after. And it's a little bit better well lit in here. It's still a little dark, so I might look into fixing that. But the light looks really nice with the way it's coming through. So, to give a brief tour of the other locations, here we have the Gallery of Natural Science. So I'm going to need animal parts to make a lot of the displays in here. As you can see here, you can read the plaque, and it'll show you things like, oh, you do the Gildergreen quest line, I believe it actually populates here. You can read a plaque like you would at a normal museum. However, if you see stuff like activate soil, you can plant things. Or, if it's going to be, for example, here, you can activate all your fish, because that's a mod I have. And I believe they'll actually populate in the tank, which would be really cool. And then here you have these build displays. So, for example, for an Elder Dragon, for me to display that, you see I need one dragon scale and one dragon bone, and then it'll populate an Elder Dragon in the scene, which is really cool. Here you can see a Hagraven and a Spriggan, a goat and a Frostral, a dog, a cow, a horse, and a chicken, a frostbite spider and a chorus, a mud crab and a horker, a bear and a saber cat, an elk and a wolf, and then here's etymology, which I believe is all these bugs that will populate inside of there. However, that's not all. With a mod, you can actually get a second floor. The second floor is fossils. You can find fossil stuff occasionally. Be really cool. However, these are going to be, again, a much longer period thing. Just close to the trophies, again. But that's the Gallery of Natural Science. Down the hall here, we have the Dragonborn Hall. And this is one of the biggest wings of the museum. Again, I'm going to try to get better lighting. Fortunately, this area doesn't really have too much natural lighting. But this is going to be stuff like a lot of modded stuff, especially. But you're going to have stuff like all of these Dragon Priest armor sets from a mod. I think it's just called that. I have stuff down here. And if you recognize some of these names, you'll see what's in store. But there's nothing for us to really do in here as of right now. It's just a pretty thing to look at. The other really large individual wing, well, there's a couple more. So down here, so when you go to like giant camps and Dwemer ruins, these will actually populate with stuff from those. However, I think you have the requirement of you have to clear it. Here is going to be like your Winter Sun display. So Winter Sun, once you visit shrines, are going to populate here. I'll be able to point it out once we actually start visiting a few. Here we have the Hall of Lost Empires, which is, again, a massive wing. This will have like lots of places to put paintings, which we'll find throughout the game, either from merchants or in dungeons and such. And here is essentially the Daedric wing. So you have like the Great Cowl Nocturnal, the Daedric Crescent, the Kegbreaker, the Ancient Daedric Mercurius, the Daedric Face of Terror, the Daedric Face of Inspiration, Scourge, the Bow of Shadows, Malakav's Cleaver, Singren Rose. And once we actually do those Daedric quests, we'll be able to populate the things in here. Oh, if you know anything about Daedric quests, they are not nice things the majority of the time. So here's the Hall of Lost Empires. It's going to be like where a lot of Falmer and Dwemer stuff gets displayed. Here are the Paragon sockets. I believe the Paragon sockets is from Dragonborn. Yeah, Dragonborn. And again, I'll be looking into lighting that's better. Here, you have notice, it is currently under construction. I believe that links to dev as Zadborough, if that mod is enabled. Here we have essentially the Hall of Curiosities. So there's gonna be like a bunch of like small little trinkets. I think we actually have one. We do. A coin. So the other thing that's really cool about this place is it's not just a check mark with a lot of it. It is actually stuff actually populates. So if we go to here, display prep station, it'll say, do you want to place all displayable items? Yes. And then it'll go through and place everything from the inventory that has a place in the museum for it. So it should be taking like these weapons, for example. And it'll take a little bit to sort because it's going through a lot of things. And unfortunately, as it's going through things, it's actually something that gets more and more laggy as the game goes on. On one playthrough, at one point, those goggles scared the heck out of me. As the game goes on, you have to sort through more and more things, so the game unfortunately lags. On one playthrough, I got about 400 items. However, the game was getting really laggy to that point. So since it's still displaying, we can just look at a couple more. So some of these things, and once you actually finish, it actually covers it. Like for example, these, a lot of these just get us like checkpoint achievement items. You can see here my weight's going way down. We have 18 new displays. So while the majority of those won't be seen, a couple of them will. However, for those, I believe we would have to go to the basement. So the basement here, or the army rather, has two different wings. Because you have like a storage one, then you have this one, which is brilliantly lit. Why can't the other ones be? But as you can see here, it's trying to get all the Imperial armor, the Penitus Oculus, and all your different Hold Guard armors. I believe it's a light and heavy variant? Yes. But as you can, but if we go up here, there's Daedric, Stalhrim, Forsworn, Ancient Nordic, Dwarven, Steel, Iron. As you can see here, the Iron Warhammer and Iron Hatchet populated, as well as the Iron Dagger. And eventually, it'll get filled up. Like here, we have Fine Norse Axe. So you can see here some modded things also inside of it. And then the East Tower and the West Tower is basically storage. And a lot of the time, these actually have like little plaques written above them, as you can see here. And so, the story begins. Eventually you'll be able to get like donations once it populates right there, once you collect a couple of things. And the first goal for everything is to, it wants me to look at the note, which is this one. So it wants me to go to Borgoth at Finest Wares Imperium, which is in Helgen. It wants me to go to Bleakfald's Barrow, which the temple will have a ring for me to collect. And lastly, Silent Moon's Camp. It wants me to essentially get the Lunar Steel stuff. However, those last two are going to be very combat heavy, so I'm going to need friends first. And as we talked about friends earlier, Inigo, Ari, and Lucian. And here, there you go. Investigate Bleakfald's Barrow, Silent Moon's Camp, and retrieve the urns from Borgoth. However, that will likely be the end of this little episode. I hope you all enjoyed watching, and I hope that this is the beginning of something really cool. Hope you have a good day, and have an even better one tomorrow.